So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Spotlight Mining. My name's Liam Hardy, and today I'm very happy to be joined by Deepak Malhotra, who's a well-known metallurgist who's just joined the board with Goldplay Mining. How are you doing today, Deepak?
I'm doing fine. Glad to be on the call with you.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show, Deepak. I've heard a lot about you from the guys at Goldplay. So we're obviously here to discuss the upcoming listing of Goldplay under the symbol AUC on the Venture Exchange. But I'd like to start by just asking a little bit about you, Dipak. Maybe you could introduce yourself, tell us a bit about how you've spent your time in the mining industry.
Okay, I have been in the mining business for about 50 years. My bachelor's of metallurgical engineering was done in India, and then I came to Colorado School of Mines here in the US, and I got my master's MS in metallurgical engineering and was doing PhD when I changed over since Colorado School of Mines started a mineral economics department. So I got my PhD in mineral economics in 1977, 78. And I worked for AMAX, which was an international company, resource company, AMAX Incorporated, from 1973 to about 1990, when I found I was being boxed in just like any other big corporations as a molybdenite expert, despite the fact I had just spent 3 years going to Dominican Republic at Pueblo Viejo and ensuring that we were getting all the gold production. I was still classified as a molybdenum expert, so I figured it was time to move on. And I started our own testing and consulting company called Resource Development Inc., which is still in existence. 2 years ago, I handed it over to my son-in-law, who is a graduate of School of Mines, and started another company, separated the consulting portion of it, which is basically ProSolve Consulting. And during this era, we must have worked on plants in the process and development area. I think we worked, at least there are 12 to 15 commercial plants, including San Cristobal, which we did the complete feasibility studies on. And I've had the opportunity of auditing operations around the world. I have worked from Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, all the way down to Chile.
So it sounds like you got out of molybdenum just in time before the 80s crash of molybdenum. You say you've worked all around the world there. What was it like working in Kyrgyzstan and Central Asia?
No, I mean, in Kyrgyzstan, I was asked to come in and audit Kumtor mining. I mean, it was my experiences have been great because I've had the opportunity to deal with only people at the senior level, and the Charat project, we worked on the Charat. I think all the development work was done at Resource Development Inc. RDI here for years. So, I mean, I've got experiences which I could write in books on these operations. The difference is in a place like Kyrgyzstan, just so you know, I never saw the front end of the airport. As soon as I got out, I was escorted to the VIP room and escorted out from the side and brought in also on my return from the side.
Yeah, it's the same all across the industry. You know, everyone thinks we're off on adventures and traveling, when mostly we're just seeing dusty pits in the ground and some awkward roads to get to them, right?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I'm fortunate enough. I think I've traveled through about 175 countries.
That's almost all the countries, depending which year you were traveling in.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Deepak, you're a metallurgist. Maybe you could just introduce what a metallurgist is to our viewers.
Okay. to explain it in a layman's term, there's a geologist will go out and say there's gold here. A mining engineer will pick up the rock. A rock may contain only 3 grams of gold or 5 grams of gold. It is a metallurgist who develops the process. How do we get the gold out of the rock and make it a valuable product which can be sold?
Yeah, and lots of people will see a high-grade news release and they'll throw their money into it, and not realise that that gold could, grade highly but still be trapped in pyrite or have a massive thorium background.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, that's gold. Gold generally occurs either as free milling. Most of that's been discovered. A lot of the gold now being discovered is either refractory due to particle size being very fine, or due to being associated chemically bound with pyrite or arsenopyrite, and often it could be due to pre-grubbing also. So those are the types of gold deposits that are being discovered these days.
And a similar question again. People tend to see these high-grade results from junior projects, early-stage exploration. But why is it important to also look at the mineralogy and metallurgy in the beginning of a project, not just in the mining phase?
No, man, at that stage, in the early part, because somebody may run into a vein deposit and they look at it and say, well, it's got 20 grams or 30 grams gold per ton, but the problem is, how do you get it out? If it's an underground, you need at least 5 to 7 grams gold, just if it's refractory, just to break even, to pay for mining, etc. If it's less than 7 grams, I would not be touching it. It's not going to be economical. I have the role of also being able to, since I work with a lot of mutual funds as well as streaming companies, I do the due diligence for them, and I've done due diligence for IFC World Bank. So I've had the opportunity to look at a lot of feasibility studies around and see which projects work and which projects failed. And fortunately, after the projects fail, a lot of times I'm called in. I think I've been worked on 7 projects after the failure to go in and turn the company around.
So you're the one reading all of the technical reports at the back end that never really see the public light.
That is true.
So let's talk a bit, Dipak, about Goldplay Mining. How did you come to meet Kathleen and get involved in that project?
I was brought onto the gold of Canuck Resources. I'm on the board of that board of directors of that company, and I worked very closely with Kathleen when he was a CEO there. He and I became close friends. And we were able to, he was able to turn that company around, and I was very well impressed with what he did. Hence, he and I have worked since then together on several other things. I brought him on the board of BlackRock Gold. And a couple of months ago, we've been very close friends. We touch base on a regular basis. Since I'll end up going to Vancouver very often, we'll end up meeting for lunch or dinner. And about a couple of months ago, he asked me if I would join the board, and I agreed to do that.
So Goldplay have got 2 main targets. One of those is the Scotty West, which is in British Columbia, just up near Stuart, which we all know and love. The other is in the works. There's a series of projects in Portugal you're looking to pick up. How did you come across these very different projects in very different jurisdictions?
No, basically, the Goldplay was started with a project in British Columbia, and Kathleen had the opportunity to look at the project in Europe. And I had, in Portugal, I had just signed off on a 43-101 on another project in Europe, in Portugal. So we figured it would be a good opportunity if we can lay our hands on that. That area is fairly good for uh, exploration.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time down there in southern Portugal. Been down underground in Neves Corvo, which I can never pronounce quite correctly. You have Aljustrel, Lazal, lots of historic projects, lots and lots of mining history there. Why do you think a lot of people overlook Portugal as a jurisdiction to go exploring in?
That's simply because of the rules and regulations in the European countries, and I think that is changing slowly. I guess we got to educate everybody about the mining. That mining, if done properly, is right, and that's one of my biggest qualms. Is I'm sitting, I'm where I am. I'm about a mile away from a highway called Interstate Highway 70, which goes from one end of the country to the other end in the United States. And nobody pays much attention, but the land occupied by that highway is more than the total land occupied by mining operations in the United States. Okay, but everybody's against mining.
And I'd imagine the carbon footprint of the road is a little bit higher too, eh?
Oh, yeah.
And speaking to a lot of people from Portugal, they're obviously somewhat aware of their mining history. It's all around them, but maybe they're not aware that Portugal was one of the world's biggest lithium producers. Neves Corvo is one of Europe's biggest copper mines. What do you think it'll take to bring the public opinion round in Portugal towards mining to make this project a success for Goldplay?
I think our objective would be to turn around, and as soon as we get the permits, I think Catalan's my philosophy, plus actually all the board members, between all of us, we have over 150 years of experience in the mining area. All of us have the philosophy that every dollar we have should be spent very wisely and should be spent in exploration. Okay, because our philosophy is very simple, that if we don't produce results, a junior company is not going to be in existence for too long. You cannot keep raising funds and taking big bonuses, etc. You got to show results, and that's our objective.
Money on a board, right? That's how you earn the money on the board, right? You need results to justify the wages. Yeah.
And how about the original project you guys launched with up in Scotty West? Maybe you can introduce that a little bit for us.
No, I mean, that's a project where we preliminary results indicate that there's a good promise. At the same time, it's in a triangle area where there's a lot of good projects, and everybody seems to be interested in that area. So hopefully we've just raised the money, and we plan to be doing some drilling this year, especially with the flow-through funds, and that's gonna be about close to $500,000, and that we should be able to do a good assessment on the project with the drilling results as to how good it is.
Yeah, and as far as exploration locations go, you've got Ascot one hill to the south, I think. 2 hills east, you've got Mountain Boy Minerals, Scotty Resources are there, Bruce Jack Mine is along a valley and over a hill. As far as locations go, it's pretty awesome. How did you come to pick that land package up?
I think was negotiated by Catalan even before I came on board. So the credit goes to Catalan for doing an outstanding job.
Great stuff. Looking at the next 6 months, what are your hopes for Goldplay? Where do you see the company going?
For the next 6 months, as soon as it's listed and as soon as the weather turns around, we are hoping we can start doing the exploration on this one. And if we can start traveling, we would. I'm sure Catalan would be going back to Portugal and try and push through and see if we get the permits, then we will start planning on how to spend the money out there efficiently and do some drilling.
Superb, yeah. Portugal's just crying out for more exploration. Full of copper, full of gold. Somebody really has to go and dig that up. So I wish you the best of luck out in Vancouver, Dipak. It's been wonderful to speak. Thank you very much for joining the show today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hopefully talk to you again sometime soon. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to express our views on Goldplay.
That's great. And if you'd like to hear more about Goldplay Mining, you can check out goldplaymining.ca. We'll also have full coverage at spotlightmining.com and across our social media channels as well. Thank you for joining the show, everybody, and look forward to speaking again soon. Cheers.